have that, that's fine. You may be able to get it online. But I find that's one of the simpler versions of his life. He did so much writing of his own that you can always go get his books. He was great on yoga psychology and that kind of thing. Okay, well, it's 5 o'clock according to my clock, and everyone thinks their clock is right, so I'm starting by my clock. We're on, if you're following along, page 196, and it's Spiritual Talks with Swami Saradananda. There's a little preface. These conversations of Swami Saradananda with various disciples are taken from the book Spiritual Talks by the first disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, which was published by Advaita Ashram in 1968. So these are in other books if you need. But the first spiritual talk, the disciple is asking a question. A religious teacher instructs his disciples not to practice japa without taking a bath, etc. Are such observances compulsory? Now, japa is repeating your mantra. Swami Saradananda. The master came to make religion easy. People were being crushed under the weight of rules and regulations. Oh, for those that just joined, we're on page 196, if you're following along. People were being crushed under the weight of rules and regulations. To repeat the Lord's name and to worship him, no special time and place are necessary. In whatever condition one may be, one can take his name. The master never used to give too much importance to these external observances. As to means, adopt whichever suits you best. If you like God with form, that will lead you to the goal. If you like God without form, well and good, stick to it and you will progress. If you doubt his very existence, then better put the question to him this way. I do not know whether you exist or not, whether you are formless or with form. Make me know your real nature. As to changing clothes, taking a bath, and other external observances, if you can observe them, well and good. If not, go on calling on him without paying much attention to these details. The master once sang this song to me and told me, assimilate any one of these ideas and you will reach the goal. O Lord, thou art my everything, the sole support of my life, the quintessence of reality. There is none else besides thee in this world whom I can call as my own. Thou art happiness, peace, help, wealth, knowledge, intellect, and strength. Thou art the dwelling house and the pleasure garden. Thou art the friend and relative. Thou art this present life, the sole refuge. Thou art the life hereafter and the heaven. Thou art the injunction of the scriptures, the guru full of blessings and the store of infinite bliss. Thou art the way and the goal. Thou art the creator and preserver and the worshipped. Thou art the father that punished thy child, the loving mother, and the storehouse of infinite bliss art thou. Disciple asks another question. What do you think about astrological calculations as to auspicious and inauspicious moments? Swami. The master used to observe these things. He believed in auspicious and inauspicious times, and because he used to observe these things, we too observe them. But then, these calculations nowadays are not absolutely correct. There have been many changes in the position of the constellations and planets, but these astrological calculations have not been corrected accordingly. so I do not observe them so much these days. I'll tell you a funny story about Swami Swahananda. At this point, he had a devotee, a disciple who was an astrologer. And the astrologer read his chart and said, travel is very dangerous for you right now. And so Swami kind of listened to him and didn't travel too much. And then he came one day and he said, I've taken the name of the Lord. Why do I have to worry about any of this? And he never quit traveling. He went everywhere. The disciple asks this question. The master used to say that Shraddha, food offered at the last funeral rite, is harmful to bhakti, devotion. Why is it so? Swami, the object of food is to build a strong body and a fine intellect. Unless the body and the mind are pure, it is not possible to do spiritual practices. It is the food offered to God that builds a pure mind and body. The Shraddha food is offered to the manis and not to God, the forefathers. And as a result, instead of building a pure mind and body, it affects people otherwise. Food builds the body and the mind, and the nature of the food also affects them. In Chaitanya's life, we have a case where an ordinary man who happened to touch him in a state of ecstasy was also overpowered by religious emotions. He was told to take the Shraddha food to get over these emotions, and as a matter of fact, this food did put an end to that person's ecstatic mood. Disciple, why is the time of an eclipse considered auspicious for the practice of japa? Swami, man becomes thoughtful when such a natural phenomenon takes place. An eclipse brings about a great change in the physical environment. At this time, the mind becomes calm, and so the time is favorable for the practice of japa and meditation. Disciple, have any realized God through mere work? Swami, through selfless work, the mind gets purified, and when the mind becomes pure, knowledge and devotion grow. Knowledge is the very nature of the self, but being covered with ignorance, it is not manifest. The object of selfless work is to remove this covering. As a matter of fact, knowledge dawns as soon as the mind becomes pure. In the Mahabharata, you have the story of the chaste lady who attained knowledge through service to her husband and through other household duties. In the Gita also you find, by work alone Janaka and others attained perfection. Not one, but many attained perfection through work, for the text adds, and others. Disciple, does work here mean japa, meditation, etc.? No, Swami, no. That meaning is given by the commentators. If it were so, when Sri Krishna would have said Arjuna to ring the bells and wave lights before an image of God, instead, he told him to fight. Disciple, did Arjuna fight without any sense of ego as an instrument in the hands of the Lord? Swami, certainly. If the ego persists, even after the vision of the universal form, then of what use is this vision? Arjuna says, my delusion is destroyed, and I have regained memory through thy grace. Disciple, what is the meaning of the word memory in that verse? Swami, Arjuna had forgotten the teachings of the scriptures and of the Guru. He was overcome by delusion. Fear, love of relatives, and respect for his elders had created this delusion. The Advaitists, the non-dualists, interpret memory as the regaining of the consciousness of his real nature. They too have given a very fine interpretation. When the Vaishnavas, those are the worshippers of Krishna, progress in their spiritual practice and reach the non-dual consciousness, they avoid it and try to keep permanently in a relationship with the Lord. They consider that to become one with him is an obstacle in their way, and so the moment they get a scent of this consciousness, they become alert to ward it off. In fact, they give the lowest place to Shantabhava, or peaceful devotion, which is the culmination of non-dual sadhana. They develop the emotional side and direct it towards the Lord. This they think to be the highest goal. From the highest pitch of emotion, we have the Madhura Bhava, or the sweet conjugal relationship with the Lord. Disciple, what is the meaning of the verse? Relinquishing all dharmas, take refuge in me alone. Swami, here dharma means ritualistic works, japa, etc. Tilak interprets it as the dharma spoken of in the Mahabharata, such as the service to parents, guests, etc. But this is not correct, for even though through such service some attain knowledge, his interpretation of the Gita is one-sided. He wants to show that the object of the Gita is to establish the superiority of the path of work. The Gita highly praises self-effort. In this verse, the Lord hints that this self-effort has a limit. Disciple, when we say self-effort has a limit, I think most of us are familiar with the side that we do the self-effort, but the grace of God comes to meet us. And so it's a combination of self-effort and grace. Disciple, which is the best season for spiritual practice? Okay, I didn't know it had season. Swami, the rainy season is not suited to them. One gets drowsy when one tries to meditate. We experienced this. In that season, the mind becomes more restless. Winter is best suited for meditation. Now, winter in India is the cooler season, but not rainy. Those who want to meditate must take healthy and substantial food. Ghee, butter, etc. are good. Disciple, why is the Kundalini imagined to be like a snake? Swami, I'm not sure of the exact reason. Probably because of the impressions of myriads of lives heaped up in coils, or the upward motion of the awakened Kundalini, which is zigzag like that of a serpent. Describing the Kundalini, the master once said, while in ecstasy, have you seen the serpent? Disciple, what is the nature of the meditation on the formless? Swami, the meditation of the Lord in the Sahasra, which you do at the time of a Bhuta Shuddhi in ceremonial worship, is meditation on the formless. When you do not like any form, meditate on the formless. If meditating on the form of the Guru is more appealing at any time, then better meditate on the Guru, for the Lord manifests through the Guru. Disciple. Now this one is, I think many people have this question. Is mechanical repetition of the mantra of any use? Swami, the Tantras say that through the repetition of the mantra, realization is attained. I should think so. Disciple, I'm trying to follow all your instructions, but somehow I find that I am not quite at home in my spiritual practices. Sometimes they are mechanical, without any life in them. Swami, if you follow the same routine every day, it is natural that you should feel so sometimes. But then, on those days when you like any particular portion of the sadhana, devote yourself to that and let the other parts go. In this way, probably you may be neglecting particular practices for 3 or 4 days at a stretch. But that does not matter. When you renew these practices, you will find delight in them. Before you meditate, think of the Master. If you do that, you will see that whatever you do will yield good results. Sometimes think that he is everything and everywhere, and that you are immersed in him, even as a pot is immersed in the ocean. Think, that supreme state of the all-pervading deity is like the sky, extending as far as the sight can go. He knows everything about you. You cannot hide anything from him. He knows your innermost thoughts. Of course, one is much benefited by regular practice. If one practices regularly for some time, every day, one gains strength and finds pleasure in spiritual practices. I think we will probably have noticed by now that all of the things that he's saying, when the disciple brings up all the rules, he's saying, yes, do them if you can, but they're not paramount. He said the Master came to make religion easy for everyone, to be easy of access. Disciple, I have read much about the Master. Through books, I've been able to know much about his life. Yet when I think of his life, I do not find pleasure in it. Why is it so? Swami, to find pleasure in anything, both the brain and the heart must unite. Through mere intellectualism, one does not get pleasure. Everything becomes lifeless. If what you have read about the Master appeals also to your heart, then alone you will enjoy thinking about his life. He would then seem to be living. Disciple, is it due to want of imagination then? Swami, all your doubts will be solved in time. The Swami who wrote this book, Swami Aseshananda, was a disciple of Holy Mother, and one of his favorite sayings was, "Today's imagination is tomorrow's realization." I had to think about that for quite a while, but anything that you can think of, you can realize. Disciple, formerly I was eager to give up service and devote myself wholly to spiritual practices. Now I do not feel such a hankering. I don't want to change my environment, but I find that my mind is more and more attracted to japa and meditation and the reading of scriptures. How is it that I do not have that former longing for solitude? Swami, what of it? The scriptures say that if one can attain knowledge through spiritual practices, even when he is engaged in work, then one need not give up work. Have you heard of Dharma Vadya? He did not think even the work of a butcher to be bad after he had attained knowledge. If the mind is drawn towards him, then what is the need to change the environment? When nothing is possible without his will, then what is the use of planning? It is better to depend on him and do as he makes us do. Moreover, if you change your environment, it will be hard to adjust to the new conditions. Therefore, let the environment remain as it is. Go on calling on him, even though when, through his will, the environment changes, then accept it. The question of karma yoga was raised by someone. Karma yoga, is the yoga of work, where what he's been talking about, selfless work. No ego involved, not attached to results, praise or blame. Swami, you have no right to the results of your work. The result depends on various factors, among which your effort is only one. The aspirant must try every means to fulfill his duty, but should not get disappointed if he is not successful. Even though he did his work well, the work may not be successful for one of the other factors. To do one's best and be at peace without being anxious about the result is called karma yoga. Disciple, does renouncing every undertaking, as the Gita tells us, mean the renunciation of all work or the performance of work without the idea of ego? Swami, do the work in hand to the best of your abilities. You have to plan or utilize various means for the fulfillment of this work. But then do not take in fresh work. To do the best of your abilities, that work which has fallen to your share. It is not good to take up work aggressively. If you take up work like that, you will find that you cannot perform any task well. As a result, you get worried and your mind is upset. There was a talk on the refraction of light. This is interesting. Swami, when I was traveling by train through Gujarat, I used to see water on either side of the line extending for miles and miles. I wondered from where so much water could come. But then afterwards it struck me that it must have been a mirage. Gujarat is up in the deserty section of India, the center. After one has realized God, the world seems like a mirage. There is nothing in it that can attract one. Just as one who sees water in a mirage knows full well that there is no water there, so also, through the world of names and forms, though the world of names and forms is there, one knows that it is all Maya, an illusion. First, you have to attain knowledge. After attaining knowledge, when one returns to this world of diversity, one will see everything as before, but will no longer be attached to it. Before knowing it is an illusion, one hopes for water in a mirage. But when one realizes its nature, though one sees the mirage, one no longer expects to find any water. So also, though the world of diversity would still have to be experienced after attaining knowledge, yet one no longer takes it to be real, and so has no longer any attachment to it. Science has reduced our attachment for many things. Take, for instance, the phenomenon of color. In reality, no object has any color of its own. The solar light is composed of seven different colors. Different objects absorb different colors of this light and reflect the rest. Those colors that are reflected give the color to that object. We are attracted by the beauty of colored objects, but in reality, their beauty depends on the light of the sun. If we remember this, then we can no longer be attracted by them. That which to us is now beautiful may lose its beauty due to a change of conditions. As a matter of fact, objects do lose their beauty. Take the case of touch. In reality, we have but one organ, and that is the sense of touch. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, all these depend upon touch or contact. Without contact, none of these experiences is possible. The Gita also says, enjoyments that are born of contact give birth to misery. Sound, according to time and place, is experienced as either sweet or harsh. Sound is carried through the air. So here there is also the necessity of touch or contact with the ear. And that's the end of that day's spiritual conversations. Are there any questions about anything that he said? It's kind of went from topic to topic, but I think everyone can jump around too. Okay, so yes.
So was the Swami strictly referencing to the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita?
Mm-hmm.
And so most of his questions, the devotees' questions, were in reference to the Gita, but occasionally he just took a quote or something
Well, yes. The question was Swami totally referencing the Gita? The devotees seemed to be referencing the Gita, and he was answering accordingly. He was answering accordingly to the shlokas of the Gita, but also giving his teachings that Ramakrishna had given him, the master. And if you noticed, he talked about Vaishnavites who are Krishna worshippers and can become a bit one-sided, where they feel Krishna is the only form of God, and all other gods are not quite up to Krishna. He said, he told how what they were doing was emphasizing the emotional side. Strictly with bhakti, but also limiting bhakti to the point where they did not want the non-dual experience. And Ramakrishna had taught that both jnana, which is strictly going towards the non-dual experience, and a very difficult path, because we do live in the world of senses, and we constantly have to nullify them. The path of bhakti, as he said, leads to exactly the same conclusion, that in the end, when you merge with your Ishtadeva, you experience the non-dual reality. So, in that way, that's why Ramakrishna said that bhakti is the easy way to realize God in this age. Yeah. So, any other questions? Okay, as I was telling, I think before some of you got on, Leto, Leanne, Ganga, Elizabeth, before you got on Zoom, then I'll make my announcements. Where are we? Okay. Saturday we will have our regular Gita class, reading of the Gospel at 5 o'clock. Now, for those of you that are members of the society, and it requires taking out official membership, not just getting initiated, there will be the annual members meeting online or in Hollywood. The details will be sent to the members only. So that's Saturday. Sunday, Swami Dhyana Yogananda from Trabuco is coming up, and his topic is the moral law. Now the next week, Saturday, May 3rd, we're having a all-day retreat with two of our nuns from San Francisco, Veda Prana and Ananta Prana, and they're going to do the Upanishads for living. Now, Vrajaprana also suggested, why bother with the Upanishads? They are the basis of our beliefs. So one of them will talk on the Isha Upanishad, Veda Prana will talk on the Isha, and Ananta Prana will talk on the Kena. These are two that we don't talk about that often, but the first two Upanishads and most of the books on Upanishads. There will be talks for about an hour in the morning. Does it start at 9:30, Davy? 9:30 or 10, which?
I'm sorry?
What time does it start at 10?
I think 9:30, but we have to double check that.
Okay, we'll have to check, but check on 9.
Michael, it starts at 9:30.
9:30. Okay, thank you, Marie. Starts at 9:30, so there'll be a talk, then a break, then we'll have questions and answers, then a break for lunch, and we'll provide the lunch for everyone. Then I think at 2:30, 1:30 or 2:30, The second half starts, and there will be a talk on the Kena Upanishad, a break again, and then questions and answers. Sunday, the 4th of May, Pravrajaka Anantaprana from San Francisco will be giving the talk on, I can't remember the name of it, but we'll get our members' notification out. I'd also like to announce, since we're here, we are having Sunday school. If children arrive, we had a very disappointing Easter egg hunt this Easter. Not one child showed up, and we had put eggs around the property. 3 college boys decided we said go find all the eggs.
Did they find the golden one this year?
Yes, they found them all. We didn't hide very many.
I know we didn't find it a couple years ago.
I know. So we do have Sunday school if people will bring their children, which is we take the kids for, when you come to the lecture, one of the nuns will take the children down to the small shrine and they'll do their thing. And then we will return them at the end of the lecture. Yeah, and our regular Karma Yoga Day, I want you to all mark this down, 2nd Saturday of every month, unless otherwise notified. 2nd Saturday.
What time does that start again? What time does that start?
Starts 9:15, 9:30. Okay? We usually, what we're trying to do is have a list of the jobs, and you can pick your job.
What time does that end?
Well, Maria's asking what time it ends. It goes from, we usually work till about 12:30, and then all have lunch together at 1, and then it's over. Unless,
If I get here at 10, would that be 10 or 10:50?
that's fine. It's fine, yeah. Okay, any other questions about this mixed up reading of our schedule? You've all got it down perfectly.
Rana, I just wanted to let you know that Ava was remembering the Easter egg hunts fondly this
Yes.
past Sunday. Even though she didn't like them so much at the time, she was really appreciative of them.
Ava was in our Sunday school from the time she was 3.5 till she graduated. Anyway, once we had one of the fathers help hide, and we had a big chocolate bunny, and he hid it so well he couldn't remember where he put it. We spent quite a few days looking for it, and we still find Easter eggs the next year in February, somewhere in the garden. I've been told the candy doesn't go bad when they're in plastic.
It melts.
Sometimes. We have some that doesn't melt. People say, no, it's still fine. And I go, okay. Anyway, mark down Saturday, May 3rd. Be really nice to have, if you're able to come in person, but if you're able to come on Zoom, I think you'll enjoy it. These, the nuns from San Francisco are extremely knowledgeable on the scriptures. They have had classes with Swami Aseshananda and Swami Prabhudananda, had formal classes with all of them on these things, and they're extremely knowledgeable. So it's good to see you, and we'll see you next Saturday. I think I'm not sure which one of us is doing the reading. You'll see either Vrajaprana or me. Okay. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat, Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Take care and stay healthy. Love seeing you. Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.